really what it comes down to is knowing one's own inner truths and aligning one's life in every living moment with your deepest known lived truth at the core of your being. What you know is right now, for you and for you only. It does not need to mean anything about anyone else, but knowing in your heart of hearts and in your core of your being, your truth and your love, what you have to give from that truth. Sometimes we just know, we have this intuitive hunch, but there are thoughts that us keep gaslighting us from fully stepping into our intuitive power. And what I'm really learning right now is what immense liberation there is in just spontaneously following one's intuition without any justification, without any backup from any spiritual concept or from anything that the society validates. If you feel like it, do it. That's where these phases come in of, dark night of the soul, deconstruction, doubting, questioning, really not having any ground to, no more anchor to, nothing to hold on to. And then boom, what's up. And now it's time to move. This is a serious update of my life and spiritual journey. I am basically at the end of a 6 months meditation retreat, 5 to 6 months. And this 5 to 6 months meditation retreat, which hasn't been meditation non-stop, but a good chunk of this time I've spent meditating non-stop from morning to evening. And then there were other phases where I also worked. But before I get to that in more detail, I want to say that this 5 months period of mostly seclusion and introspection and facing myself has been the precipice or culmination of a much longer journey, which I've basically consciously started to embark on 5 to 8 years ago. And the reason why I look a little bit pissed off and serious right now is because there is an internal revolution going on where I'm reclaiming myself. And what really seems to matter is authenticity of one's own energy, more than any spiritual correctness or theory or belief system. I think that really what it comes down to is knowing one's own inner truths and aligning one's life in every living moment with your deepest known lived truth at the core of your being. What you know is right now, for you and for you only. It does not need to mean anything about anyone else, but knowing in your heart of hearts and in your core of your being, your truth and your love, what you have to give from that truth. What is right now? And it does not need to be spiritually correct, because I noticed a lot of times when I have thoughts that are trying to convince me, my own thoughts or thoughts from others that are trying to convince me to be in any certain way, I'm really boxing in my spirit. And what that means practically speaking, when one of my guides says, hey, look, that drive that you feel, it's coming from ego. And I know that that is a truth. It is true. And there's a lot of growth in really taking your ego back and really letting other guides deconstruct all of your desires and all of your drives and all of that. But I also noticed that coming back into your ego and fully inhabiting it in authenticity has such a great power that I basically forgot. And I also, what I'm really starting to intuitively know, and this is a hypothesis, is what truth I'm slowly coming to is that following one's authenticity will lead one onto the perfect path. Because following anyone else's ideal can never really match one's own inner truth. And this inner truth on a one level is verbal, so we can introspect and think about what really matters to us and what really makes sense to us, and we can go back to first principles and think about, I'm born on planet Earth. If I strip away all beliefs and belief systems, what makes sense to pursue? Is it happiness and fulfillment? Is it truth? Is it love? Like, what truly matters to me? A normal life, family, and whatnot, or just going with the spontaneous flow, what is meaningful to us? Maybe it's harmony, right? We all have our own blueprint. For me, initially, it was happiness and fulfillment, and that has evolved over time into other priorities like compassion and truth. But that is the compass on a philosophical level. But then there's also a compass that is on the intuitive feeling level that we can't yet really even express into articulation, but we know, hey, this feels right, like cutting off my hair right now because it will make me feel more free, or ending this meeting right now, or ending this call, or ending this relationship, or starting this relationship, or approaching this person, or going to this country, or quitting this job, or stopping this business or starting this business, right? Like all these things, sometimes we just know, we have this intuitive hunch, but there are thoughts that us keep gaslighting us from fully stepping into our intuitive power. And what I'm really learning right now is what immense liberation there is in just spontaneously following one's intuition without any justification, without any backup from any spiritual concept or from anything that the society validates. If you feel like it, do it. And of course, this took me a long time to really swing the pendulum in the other direction, where I doubted everything I did, because now it's much easier to discern what impulses and intuitions are the ego masking as one's authentic energy versus what is actually one's own authentic energy and one's authority. Because programming from society can look like that. And that's where these phases come in of, dark night of the soul, deconstruction, doubting, questioning, really not having any ground to, no more anchor to, nothing to hold on to. And then boom, like, what's up. And now it's time to move. So there are these phases, of constructing and deconstructing, but really one's own inner knowing, and the system that really, really closely goes hand in hand with this is Bashar. I haven't really studied him closely, but I know he has a system of following your highest excitement. And I think it's a very, very good system. And initially I critiqued it a lot, but I'm really coming to see the beauty in its simplicity. I think that when we can match that with the depth of awareness of one's own internal motivation, which is mostly pain that we don't look at. Like when we see how behind every drive, there's actually a pain driving us. When we have that clarity and we can actually process that pain, and with that, let false motivations die. Like, for example, having we think we have the excitement to build a business, or we think it's an excitement to no longer hang out with these people, but actually it's just avoiding pain and confrontation and truth, right? So all of these things are clouding our vision. But once we can decipher and actually see which motivations and excitements are actually motivations out of pain, and we can process that pain and let those motivations die, what remains is actually our authentic energy and our real excitement. And then we can let it flourish in full power. And yeah, it's kind of an internal revolution, because I'm kind of sick and tired of like dumbing down my energy. And I see how not being in alignment with my purpose and my authentic energy has basically leaked into every area of my life, in my confidence in relationships with women, in my relationship with friends, in my clarity and healthy boundaries, right? All of these things are affected by this core of not trusting and fully going into alignment with my authentic energy. And it's basically been the fact that I've been wanting to start this YouTube channel for the past 5 years and not having done it. And like right now, I'm definitely swinging the pendulum in the other direction. I think there's a middle path, but another extreme I want to engage in now is just not putting things off anymore. So knowing that, hey, the ego will have endless excuses, and I see this pattern in myself. I see that I always put this off. You know, two things: my sleep rhythm. I haven't been able to get into a healthy sleep routine for the last, 6-8 years, and starting YouTube. Okay, so when I know this, and for you this might be a different pattern, but once I have this awareness of this pattern, and I've really convinced myself that I would start the YouTube channel years ago, and I just started but then stopped again, and now seeing even in the last year, after all things have been cleared out, like stopping my business and literally having nothing on my plate anymore, but being able to start this channel, I still haven't been able to do it. Once you see this in a pattern like yourself, and it could be a different pattern, it could be a pattern, a dysfunctional pattern in relationships, it could be a dysfunctional pattern also with your life purpose and what you want to give to yourself and the world. Like when you see a persistent pattern like this, you have to draw consequences. And my consequence now is that I see it, I kept putting it off, so I know if I don't do it now, it will never happen. And then the mind might come in and say, oh, well, but you know, you can start when this ideal time will come, which for me would be next month, because this month I still have a meditation retreat. But what if you made the courageous decision to literally cancel everything in your life because this one thing matters more than anything else in your life, and you made it an actual priority? And I'm sorry if I'm screaming not at you, I'm just very passionate about this point, as you can see. Like, have you ever considered, you know, let's say you booked a vacation to somewhere, you paid $2,000 for it, $2,000 you paid for the vacation, and actually now your spirit and your soul or your innermost truth from your subconscious mind is screaming, hey, you've put this off for so long. If you go on this vacation again, of course, afterward may be a harmonious and ideal point, but what if I actually cancel this vacation? I don't even get the money back for it. I literally let it sit. I don't take the flight. I don't even bother to cancel it. I'm just gonna sit down and do what I've been wanting to do for the last X years. Or I'm gonna make the decision of breaking up this relationship or starting this business or whatever, and I'm gonna cancel this retreat. I'm gonna cancel these meetings. I'm gonna whatever. I'm gonna focus, right? I'm gonna say no to everything, and it's not gonna be a loss canceling the vacation so I can focus on my purpose, but it's gonna be a reinvestment into my priority. I am voting with my time and money, and it's an investment, it's not a loss. Can you see the seriousness of this and how it redefines what an actual priority means? Which is acting now, because now is your only chance to act and make a decision, and then following through on that decision by putting your money where your mouth is and investing what actually matters. Like, this is some serious power you are taking back with that. And this does not mean that you always have to do this. Of course, it is more harmonious to not let other people down, definitely not. Taking collective responsibility also, and taking responsibility for consequences and losing money and whatnot. And maybe it's just fine to do it after the vacation. But know that if it's a repeating pattern of putting it off, maybe it's time to make such a radical decision to prove it to yourself and also win back self-reputation with yourself to show and prove to yourself what is your actual priority. So for me, this means, it's a very simple example with the sleep schedule, right? Like, I've tried it all. For me, nothing has worked except the decision now that this alarm is going to be set from today onwards, and there's no excuse. If tonight I only sleep 2 hours because I'm awake all night, so be it. Because I've gone through these loops so many times, and I notice how my ego keeps fucking me over with excuses, where I stay up at night, then I want to sleep longer, and then the next day I can't fall asleep early because I slept in, and blah, 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 blah. I see how this loop is just spinning out of control. And the same with procrastinating on my passion with YouTube. If I don't make the decision to record a video now, which I'm doing right now, and if I don't make the decision that tomorrow the alarm is gonna ring at this time, the sleep routine is not gonna happen. And now it puts the power and decision-making power back now, because now I have the decision to start the video. Now I have the decision to set the alarm. And guess what? The video just stopped because an alarm rang. But what I wanted to say is, you always have the power only in the now. Like Eckhart Tolle says, the power of now. Like literally, you only have the decision right now. You cannot make promises to yourself by saying, I will do anything in the future, because the future can not make the decision. You can only act in integrity now and make the decision now. That is your only guarantee that it's gonna happen. Only if there's something you're procrastinating on and you promise yourself, you make the pinky promise of your life, you swear on God, you swear on your mom that you will do this in an hour or tomorrow or in a week. It does not matter how much you swear on it. What matters, because anything can prevent it in the future. The ego can spin up infinite excuses to repeat the pattern of putting it off. But the one guarantee you have, if it really matters to you, do it now. Now or never. Assume that your ego is going to fuck you over if you don't do it now.